This is a video history of the 1963 and 1965 football teams that represented a revival of Michigan Tech football after a decade and a half of struggles. The struggles culminated with losing seasons in 1961 and 1962, and a new coach, Mr. Bill Lucier, took over the program in 1963. He brought a new offense, he brought a new spirit. The 1963 season began with Bill Lucier having assigned to be co-captains Ken Shermack and Gene Belmore. The team went on to have a 6-2 record and a 4-1 Northern Intercollegiate Conference record, which won the conference championship. It was the first conference championship to be won by a Michigan Tech team. The team was led by quarterback Ralph Abada, who went on to the Air Force in an illustrious career before his passing. Doug King was an all-conference running back and had a career in the paper industry. Roger Hedinga was an all-conference tackle. Unfortunately, he has passed. And Don Krasaric was an all-conference center. The team was led on defense by Dennis Burns, a rugged defensive end, and Ken Naples, a Canadian who came down and was a star at linebacker and offensive tackle for the program. The 1963 team championship was followed by many of the same players on the 1964 team, led by Roger Hedinga, who was the captain of the team and again all conference. However, fell short after a tough season with injuries and an emerging young quarterback by the name of Jay Dishnow to a record of only 4-4. The 1965 season brought a new determination by the coach to have a successful season, and the 1965 football team went on to win another conference championship, led by co-captains Dan Van Abel and Denny Ewers. The team went on to have one of the more successful seasons in Michigan Tech history. This is the story of that season.
The 1965 Michigan Tech football team went down in the school's Gridiron Annuals not only as a successful one, but one that redefined the word teamwork. Teamwork was certainly the key that fall, as the Huskies registered a fine 6-2 record overall and won the Northern Intercollegiate Conference Championship with a 4-1 mark. Interestingly, in the 5 years that followed, both marks would tie the 1962 NIC championship team as the best records produced by a Michigan Tech football team in that decade. Under head coach Bill Lucier, the 1965 Michigan Tech squad began the fall campaign on a bright note, winning their first 5 games of the season and then capping off the year with a victory in the season finale. Teamwork, especially on the defensive end, proved to be an integral part to the team's success, as the Huskies allowed only 73 points overall and a mere 40 in 5 league games. Along with the claiming of the 1965 NIC title, a stack of well-deserved honors were bestowed on several members of the Huskies football team. Defensive tackle Charles Lucchese was selected Associated Press All-American and received all-conference recognition, while halfback Tom Esmarch, the team's leading rusher and scorer, was named to the NIC All-Conference squad and also was chosen to play in the State of Michigan College All-Star game. Esmarch, along with quarterback Jay Dishnow, were selected co-recipients of the Most Valuable Player Award as well. Dishnow, in fact, was a model of consistency throughout the season at the controls of the Huskies offense, passing for 1,039 yards and throwing 8 touchdowns. He also completed over 53% of his passes, the best mark recorded during a 13-year period. All-Conference end Dan Van Abel was Dishnell's primary target, catching a team-leading 34 passes for 533 yards. Defensive back Fred Hall, linebacker Ken Naples, and guard Willie Griffin were also selected to the All-Conference squad as well, in what proved to be one of the most memorable seasons in Michigan Tech football history.
This is Bill Lucier. The highlight film has brought back some tremendous memories, as I'm sure it will for you. And I'm happy to make some comments because this team was a champion in many respects. It was more than just on the field. Of the 30 young men who lettered, 28 received their degrees from Michigan Tech. One graduated from another university, and our Lord, for whatever good reasons, called the other. Now I really do feel better the fact that you graduated than winning the conference championship, but it was sure a great feeling at that time. Much of our ability to win came from the pride that each of you had in yourself and the hard work that you put in. Many of you had to go both ways, as you will see in the film, which is a true test of the stamina, and we sure had our fair share of close contests, where sucking it up in the fourth quarter was helped by the endless wind sprints that you went through. I know I've often said that these kinds of things create a lifetime of memories, and I'm sure to all of us they've been very good memories. I think we can all remember when the lights went out at Winona. I didn't know whether we would finish that contest or not because we were behind at the time. And I remember that Fred Hall had a cold, and I grabbed him by the shoulder pads and told Freddie that he was going in there and break up the contest, which he proceeded to make me a very good coach by doing just that. And then Charlie Lucchese caught one of Jay's passes for the point after on a tackle eligible, which everybody in the stadium knew was coming, with the exception of me as coach. And that made the difference in the contest because the score was 13-12. Interestingly enough, I don't remember our only conference loss with Bemidji, which was a 9-8 score. But I do remember going down to Midland, Michigan and playing those bandits from Northwood Institute who told us that the game started at 1:30 and then their team didn't show up until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then they wouldn't let us into the room at halftime. We got even with them the next year because that's the only time that I've ever let a team run up a score, and we scored over 60 points in that game. I also remember the many zit contests on the bus with Paulie Bukovich and Tom Sismarich. And I remember when Willie Griffin came up with a handful of teeth from a goal line drill in Engineers Field, which incidentally no longer exists. I remember the safety blitzes that Dan Van Abel introduced in our last contest with Superior State. And that blitz really wasn't a part of our defensive scheme. And of course, I guess we all remember the intestinal fortitude that was showed by Billy Hauser in his dealing with cancer. All in all, it was a very special year, and I guess each of you in your own way played a really important part in it. It was a great season, one that I can look back, and I think we can all look back and share many good thoughts. And I guess I have to consider it one of the highlights of my life. And God bless you all.
And in fact, the team was blessed, as Coach Lucier had asked. And it had an opportunity in 2003 to revive the program again. Many of the people that will be talked about in the next clip were men that gave their resources, their time, and their treasure to revitalize the Michigan Tech football program once again.
Our program was dropped because of tough financial times in the state of Michigan, and more so with financial problems in the university. In my opinion, the message was going to be clearly sent to everybody, meaning alumni across the country, to the rest of the universities in the state of Michigan. When Michigan Tech made a decision to drop football, that showed the seriousness and the significance of the budget deficit throughout the state, primarily at Michigan Tech. It was only because of a very select few that were able to get together immediately. And I remember those first 2-3 days spending 15, 18, 20 hours a day on the phone with our alumni, and the determination. We received over 1,400 emails from 35 states and 13 countries in 3 days. And the reason we had that support is football meant so much to so many people over 82 years that was too special to just let drop. And the feelings were too deep. And because we have intelligent people that must have went to class in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and were great business people, to develop a financial plan and to sell it to our alumni and friends and supporters of the program, and to raise better than $1 million in less than a year to financially put the program back in stable grounds and secure the future financially, all through the work of our alumni, all because of their great experience and their great love of the university and the program and what it did for them. I look back at some of the critical fundraising ventures that we went on under adverse times when, people were, could you put good money into a bad product? And we had people like Dr. Fred Gunther and people like Jimmy Grimes in past years or recent years of an Alex Kowalski to step up in major ways and put major dollars on the table. Reinforcing others that, hey, we believe to this point with major gifts. And I think that helped many of the other alumni step up to the table and make their contributions. And I'm not so sure it could be done at any other university in the United States. But because of a university on the end of the earth in God's country that provided an opportunity so unique and so deep into the minds of our alumni, that they would come back and not only verbally support the program but financially dig out their wallets and make 5- and 10-year commitments to secure the program so that we could continue to go out and recruit. In short time, we knew the experiences that our players had over 82 years, and they stepped forward and made it financially possible for this great group of young men with great character to play.
And now we have the remainder of the highlights of the 1965 season for your pleasure. Enjoy, find yourself on that film, and remember the great days that we had playing this great game.